It is 10:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. World number one golfer Scotty Scheffler was detained by Louisville Metro Police this morning while trying to drive into the entrance of Valhalla Golf Club, the site of this week's PGA Championship. Scheffler was charged with second-degree assault of a police officer, third-degree criminal mischief, reckless driving, disregarding traffic signals from an officer, directing traffic. He has been released on his own recognizance. Round 2 of the PGA Championship will begin at 8:35 a.m. Eastern. All round 2 starting times are delayed 1 hour and 20 minutes from the originally published time. In college baseball, the Vols win the first game of their 3-game series against South Carolina, 9-3. Game 2 starts tonight at 6:30. You can listen right here on The Zone following 3HL. In the NBA, Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves force a Game 7 crushing Denver, 115-70. The 45-point loss was the most by a defending champion in NBA playoff history, and the Nuggets' largest point margin loss of the year. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
You want to defend yourself? You want to defend yourself to start
there's no
the show?
defense.
You immediately get in my ear with all your excuses.
Oh, there was no excuses.
About all the different ways that you fouled up that breaking sports news update. I'm here with very serious and very important news. I'm trying to figure out how to have the right tone about what happened at the PGA Championship at Valhalla today. And you bleep it up right out of the gate with whatever the hell that was. Reconnaissance?
I tried.
The fear in your voice.
I wanted you to chime in. I know you studied political science in college. I knew you would probably have a better grasp on this word than I would. So I wanted you to chime in there. A little guest star from Buck Rising on the Sports Update.
Yeah, that's what you wanted?
Actually, yes. I was begging for help.
just the way I could verbally hear you approaching it like a speed bump and then just wrecking the car anyway.
It was a cliff.
Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome in. We're happy to have you. Scotty Scheffler got arrested today. You want to talk about it? 615-737-1045 is the number. Jake Downard in the YouTube chat says Scotty Scheffler was released on his own renaissance. I think we're just going to start throwing out random R words. I want you to use, because you don't change your update throughout the course of the show, do you?
I mean, if so, like yesterday, obviously I had to change it. Gary Smith got fired literally as I finished it, so it can be changed.
Okay.
It's not set in stone.
I want a different R word. I want you to screw that up every time throughout the course of the rest of the show. Be a little Easter egg for the people that started the 10 a.m. hour with us.
Sounds good.
You can interact on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch if you would like to live stream the show there. Hang out with Jackson and me. Coach Dave McGuinness will be here, as is the custom, at 11:20. Talk some Titans football, some Titans schedule with him, and we've got some good quotes from Will Levis that we did not have the opportunity to dive into last week that we will do so later today. But yes, the news to start the show is Scotty Scheffler, world number one, Masters champion, arrested. There's a mugshot to wake me up to start my morning of Scotty Scheffler making the rounds, charged with a felony and other counts Friday morning outside of the PGA Championship. Let's see if I can do this. The number of charges better than Jackson did.
The charges were fine. We were all good until we hit, what was the word again?
Recognizance.
I
want the Urban Dictionary definition of recognizance by the end of this segment, please.
I'm going to have to copy and paste it because I can't spell it.
Scheffler charged with second-degree assault on a police officer, a felony, along with lesser charges of third-degree criminal mischief, reckless driving, and disregarding signals from officers directing traffic, according to Jefferson County court records. How did they get him booked so quickly? How did they get him in an orange jumpsuit so fast? That's wild to me, this mugshot, how quickly they got it, and how quickly it got out there on the internet. Jeff Darlington of ESPN was the first to report on it. He's been covering a lot more golf as of late, and this is a hell of a story to cover the sport of golf with. Police presence. Now, here's the thing that you got to remember, which was why I was trying to have the appropriate tone about this story, because somebody did lose their life in this, and I'll explain to you exactly what happened. Police presence around the entrance to the course elevated due to the fatal accident involving a shuttle bus carrying people to the course. Louisville Metro Police Department spokesperson Dwight Mitchell said a pedestrian was killed after attempting to cross the main road leading to the course and being hit by a bus. So, before there's jokes and memes and mugshot banter, whatever you want to call it, somebody did lose their life, so you want to treat it with the appropriate seriousness. That story is being reported on separately, though it does lead itself into how Scotty Scheffler found himself being pulled out of his car, basically, put into the back of a police car and being yelled at by an officer in the meantime. So these are the details. When Scheffler arrived, he attempted to drive around the crash scene on a median. According to ESPN, a police officer instructed Scheffler to stop, but Scheffler continued to drive about 10 to 20 yards towards the entrance. Scheffler then stopped his vehicle at the entrance to Valhalla, which is the golf course. The police officer then began to scream at Scheffler to get out of the car. When Scheffler exited the car, the officer shoved Scheffler against the car and immediately placed him in handcuffs. He was in a marked player courtesy vehicle, Jeff Darlington said on ESPN Scheffler was, so there was some indication that he was a player and that the officer's reaction, may have been a bit extreme. You understand why the officer might have been a bit on edge when somebody got killed crossing a road by a bus. So there's video showing police walking with Scheffler in handcuffs, putting him in the police vehicle, and an officer at the scene says in the video right now he's going to jail. So that's the way that Scotty Scheffler's morning at the PGA Championship got started, and that is the news that starts our show today. Wild story.
Insane.
So the golf is going on right now in front of us. We're watching it on ESPN Plus. Xander Schauffele in the lead at 9 under. This is a really, really tough look for a couple of different reasons. It's not just because he was the overwhelming favorite ahead of, this is the second major of the season for golf?
I believe so.
Coming off the Masters win, he's going to be a story no matter what he does. And, the public persona of Scotty Scheffler. Do you follow golf much, Jackson?
Yes, I follow the Masters. The Masters is where I get the majority of my golf fix in for the year.
Pretty standard. I feel like that's probably the majority of people. I know we have some avid golf fans among us and in the listening audience. Scotty Scheffler, the last person you expect to see a headline about today being arrested for any reason. Then you see the charges, you understand the circumstance around it, and you get why his actions may have, I don't want to say provoked the police officer, but invoked that reaction from the police officer. Just a crazy, crazy story to start the morning. 615-737-1045 is how you join the conversation. We have, so we'll try to pivot because we got Friday Fire later in the show, Jackson. What do we have for people to win today?
Tickets to Hootie and the Blowfish. Got a little choked up. That's my fault. Hootie and the Blowfish tickets. Great start for me. This is wonderful. I do have your definition if you'd like it.
What happened?
I don't know. I just got a little tickle in my throat.
I've never heard somebody trip and fall over a microphone that way.
I can't explain it. Great start to the Friday. Would you like your definition now?
Is it safe?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Do you understand why I question your judgment this morning?
Yes.
Go ahead and give me the definition of recognizance according to Urban Dictionary.
Release on own recognizance, similar to posting bail, except money isn't required as collateral.
All right. A pretty straight up definition. How about Urban Dictionary? Look at that. Stuck the landing, though. We are off to a hot start on this Friday. Let's get to some phone calls. Jason is an Uber driver up next. Hey, Jason.
Hey, man, thanks for taking my call, Buck. Love y'all show.
Thank you.
Man, I'm just sitting here thinking, like, between this thing with this golfer and then the incident with Morgan Wallen slinging a chair off the bar downtown and just listening to people are really attracted to this outlaw mentality. That's what me and you would do would probably, as normal. Well, you're not normal, Buck. You're amazing, so you probably get more publicity too. So, but I'm just saying, like, a normal person would be looked at as a terrible person, but these people are getting praised for doing this. Like, they got Morgan Wallen shirts now with him holding a chair over his head. That's a thing to wear. So what could have possibly hurt a lot of people by dropping off those, I wanted to hear on it. I was thinking, y'all great.
Thanks for the call, Jason. Your phone line kind of petered out. I don't think there's any parallel between Scotty Scheffler here and Morgan Wallen just being a bit of a petulant child.
This seems more of a misunderstanding than a.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, listen, could he have probably not driven up on the median around what was an ongoing police crime scene, I guess, for lack of a better term, where the bus hits a pedestrian loses their lives in the process? I think he probably could have been a little bit more aware. You understand, he's a golfer. He's locked in. He's got a round of golf to play. It's what he does for a living. So maybe he's not really concentrated on everything that's going on. He's just trying to get to the golf course to make sure that he gets to his routine, whatever. It's still, you got to have a little bit more self-awareness than that one would think. We'll take more of your phone calls coming up next. You'll also hear from Greg Cosell on the Titans edition of Tyler Boyd, how important it is for Will Levis in particular. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. It's the absolute worst time of the year to be dealing with joint pain. You can't do the outdoor stuff you love to do, like hiking, jogging, biking, playing golf, going on the beach. Whatever you want, joint pain can bog you down. Hey, it's Buck Rising here to tell you about QC Kinetics, who are here to help you with biologics from your own body to give new life to your aching joints. QC's regenerative medicine protocols can restore and repair that damaged tissue with no surgery, no steroids, no drugs, and no downtime. It's the future of medicine. Tens of thousands of QC Kinetics patients around the country are living their best life this year because they made the call. QC medical professionals are under the direction of Dr. Mitchell Shinecup, a former orthopedic surgeon who became a true pioneer in regenerative medicine, looking for a better way to resolve people's joint issues. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. Revolutionary treatments for joint pain are here. The number 615-249-4024, 615-249-4024. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Hope you're having a great Friday. Vibes are high. Morale is too. 615-737-1045. You can jump in. Jackson and I got you till 1. We'll turn things over to Brad Hopkins and Blaine Bishop. 3HL after that to wrap up your Friday, get you a little closer to your weekend. You were in my ear about the bowling event. Haven't I done enough events here lately? Aren't you tired of doing things?
Work.
But you liked the bowling event.
Yeah, the bowling event was fun last year.
Okay, but like, Jackson, we've had discussions about the bowling event. And by the way, I love the bowling event. It's a great time, especially when we can raise money for charity. And our buddy, Stephen Young at Home Street Home, is actually doing a cool thing for his 68th birthday that I'll tell you about here in just a second, because last year that was the cause that we were raising money for, Home Street Home. Great cause out here helping the unhoused community here in Middle Tennessee. But, Bud, we did the live podcast on, 6 days after the draft?
Yeah.
Then I did Steeplechase the next weekend. So I'm asking people to buy tickets to Steeplechase. Then we've got the golf event, which is postponed, but would have been today. We were supposed to be at Greystone today, but the weather, doesn't look terribly cooperative. It looks kind of menacing out there, honestly.
Not a great weather day.
Yeah, so there's another event. And then bowling is in June, typically. You don't think I'm pressing people a little bit? I'm trying to have some, I'm trying not to be constantly out here pandering for people's money. It's good causes, Leukemia Lymphoma Society. It's not like it's going to bad things. It's not fueling my Botox habit or whatever. It's like, what's the congressman or the senator, George Santos, right? He's paying for all his Botox and his Louis Vuitton shopping trips with people's campaign donations.
Or you could pull a Brett Favre. Could call it a Brett Favre.
Oh, and swindle money and to build what was he building? Volleyball facilities?
Yes. So I think you would, if you have a pool outside your house this summer, I think it's get old.
Trippin' Titan says, so you don't care anymore. We understand, Buck. It's not that I don't care. And Home Street Home is a great cause. And like I said, Steven is doing some really cool things. His birthday's in 3 days. And for his birthday, he's trying to raise $6,800 for his 68th birthday. He is currently at $2,423 if you want to donate to the cause. And the cause is basically the security and well-being of trying to rehabilitate the unhoused community here in Middle Tennessee, and especially how much worse that's gotten after the pandemic. You can Venmo at Home Street Home if you want to learn more about the organization and the work that they do, just all based on donations, homestreethome.org. And many of you have heard Stephen on the radio station before. I met him through Brent Doherty during the 2020 tornado as he was out here trying to fundraise and continue to do great work. So it's not that I don't care about Home Street Home, but I just, it feels like a little bit of a quick turnaround to drop the bowling event right in the middle of June after all this stuff. But you had fun at the bowling event last year.
Bowling event was fun.
Okay.
I think we let everyone decide. You don't get this decision.
Well,
we take a vote.
I'm not the only one making these decisions, but I understand this is the least democratic show of any of the shows. I'm running a bit of a dictatorship over here.
Yes, you are. I'm aware.
Which is how I like things. So you can try and overthrow me and institute some democracy en route to bringing back the bowling event. Not bringing it back. We're going to figure out something to do with the bowling event. I just didn't want to do it in June after we just asked people for money for install and LLS and golf and all these other things.
Lucas Panzica for president of the Buck Rising Show.
Don't like that at all.
I will be his running mate as vice president. We are taking over.
So let's talk football, shall we?
If you want. Do we need a vote? No, it's still a dictatorship.
Shadows. It's a much less fun tool with you.
Yesterday's was pretty good.
You're in the shadows. You can't talk. Play the game. Greg Cosell talking about Tyler Boyd, the Titans' new slot receiver. So the impact of this on the offense. We don't know how the Titans are going to deploy their skill position players. It's pretty crazy that they've got a wide receiver room that looks the way that it does. DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, And even if you're going to make Traylon Burks your fourth instead of your fifth with NWI, it's still a pretty good situation, if not a great situation, that just about every other NFL team is envious of, that kind of wide receiver depth. So what's it going to look like when they get out on the field? It's the question that we're all asking ourselves, and we'll continue to ask ourselves until September the 8th in Chicago against the Bears when this team opens its season. But we know what they ran in Cincinnati. We know what they looked like in Cincinnati. And the head coach, Brian Callahan, the former OC of the Bengals, and the new slot receiver, Tyler Boyd, well, they're going to be able to define a lot of things that are going to be critical to helping support and foster Will Levis's growth as a quarterback. This was Greg Cosell of NFL Films talking about Tyler Boyd in the new Titans offense yesterday on the Install podcast.
Well, I think you have to start with where Brian Callahan came from, which was Cincinnati, and they were a heavy 11 personnel offense. I think they were in the top 3 or 4 in the league in percentage of 11 personnel, which is 3 wide receivers and 1 back and 1 tight end. And I think the Bengals were about 86, 87%. I don't have that number right in front of me, but just remembering from the season, I think that's what it was. So I think that really signifies that that's what you're going to see a large percentage of with this offense. You didn't sign Calvin Ridley and then Tyler Boyd in order to play a lot of 12 personnel. You want those 3 wide receivers, including Hopkins as the third, on the field. So I think that that's what this offense will look like. The other thing that they have going for them is both Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears can detach from the formation. So now you have a lot of different formation possibilities, out of 11 personnel. And, one of the reasons you do a lot of different formation looks is based on your opponent. And keep in mind, coaches coach against coaches. They know what other coaches will do against certain personnel groupings and looks. You're trying to give a second-year quarterback, Will Levis, as much information as possible before the snap of the ball. That's what you're trying to do. All coaches do that, even with veteran quarterbacks. I mean, if you were to talk to Tom Brady, that's what he would say. He wants as much information as possible before he takes the snap of the ball. So that's what you're trying to do, but it's particularly important for a young quarterback because, if he's still trying to figure it out as he's dropping back, Buck, it's happening so fast. Sometimes, look, I've never played quarterback, but sometimes I'm not sure fans realize how fast that's happening. When you take the snap, if you're not seeing it clearly, I remember for years and years I worked with Ron Jaworski, played in the NFL 17 years. He was the NFL Player of the Year in 1980 when the Philadelphia Eagles went to the Super Bowl. And, he would say that sometimes, and as he played more and more, it obviously happened less and less, but he would say that there were 3 or 4 snaps every game, and he was a veteran, where he just dropped back and it just didn't register, and you end up seeing nothing, and, it just happens so fast.
Yeah, 3 or 4 may sound like a lot, but I mean, on a percentage of plays that they're having to execute, I'm surprised it's not more.
Yeah, I mean, if it's 3 out of 37 dropbacks, that's
Right.
not a lot.
Right.
But the point is you want to minimize that as much as possible and hope that on those given plays that a turnover doesn't happen.
That's Greg Cosell on the Install podcast that you can get on 104.5 The Zone's YouTube channel. It's the first pod that we've done since the live show with Rand a couple of weeks ago. Live show went out last week. You can hear that as well if you haven't already. And we talked a lot about Tyler Boyd and the Titans' schedule, the best matchups on the Titans' schedule, and dove in just a little bit to Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears, just to kind of give you guys a taste. Feels like football season when the schedule comes out. You can start to plan your viewing and watching and weddings and all the other things that you're going to work your football around throughout the course of the season. So, as you heard Greg say there, it's not just about Tyler Boyd. Everything is done in service of Will Levis. We know this, especially this year, when I think it's fair to say that they have committed to Will Levis entirely for this 1 year. Beyond 2024, I don't know what that level of commitment is going to look like. I'm seeing some comments in the chat, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You can live stream the show there, and you can also interact in the chat. if you want to. Trippin' Titans on YouTube. Morning Show was saying Levis has this year and no more to prove it. I don't know. Seems crazy. No, that's 100% factually accurate. That's the way that the organization is going to look at it as well. You have to look at all the different NFL teams that traded quarterbacks on rookie deals, understanding that they're not as talented of prospects as Levis is. Desmond Ridder, Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell. That was a particularly weak quarterback class. But they're moving around these assets. The Pittsburgh Steelers are upgrading their quarterback room. They consider it to be an upgrade on the whole with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, who Chicago just did the same thing to. Trey Lance has already been traded. Zach Wilson was released this offseason and is now going to be with the Denver Broncos. You have to be willing to move on from these assets if you don't 100% know. You have to be willing to churn the quarterback position unless you have the guy that you're willing to attach yourself to long term. How many of us would have said that Jared Goff would have been not once but twice in his career the highest paid quarterback in football?
No one.
And he's still not on this contract because Burrow's making slightly more money. But Goff got a bigger deal on an average annual basis than Justin Herbert. I don't think anybody would have said that. I don't know if that's going to work out for the Detroit Lions. We talked about the comparison between Goff's career and kind of ceiling versus a player like Tannehill. Tannehill obviously got a much more cost-effective deal. The only reason that it didn't feel like that, as we discussed, is because Julio Jones was restructured and you had the kind of anchor that his bloated salary cap hit, Tannehill's, was for the years after Julio Jones didn't pan out for this team. So, of course, you have to make a decision on Will Levis after this year. And then if you aren't 100% sure on him, you have to be willing to try and salvage him for draft capital and try and figure this thing out because your team's ready to go. Looks pretty close. We'll find out about this offensive line. But that's where you have to be. So, yeah, the thing that you should take away from this, though, is that they're not half-assing it around Will Levis. They're going to give him every opportunity to succeed. Isn't that what this offseason tells you? They have dumped so many resources into the roster, into the coaching staff, into the strength and conditioning staff, into making this thing as successful as humanly possible, and he's the guy that's going to do it this year. He has to elevate the team around him more than the team around him is built to elevate him. He has to prove that he's capable of doing that. I think for everybody to remove any question, there's plenty of questions about Will Levis right now. I'm not talking about locally. Locally, people seem to be pretty in on him. We've talked about that before. Everywhere else, they're looking around at Will Levis and being like, I don't know. And most folks probably weren't watching the Titans once they were eliminated from playoff contention. And then you come back around to it in the offseason when you throw on a couple of Titans games just to figure out what the hell Will Levis is. It's gonna be a fun process to figure it out. But I think that's the place that you kind of have to exist in as a sports fan. How many quarterbacks are really worth attaching yourself to for more than 2 to 3 years at a time? It's a much smaller list than you think. Now, the counter is you've lived the life of a franchise that can't figure it out at quarterback, even for a short period of time. So you don't want to take it for granted when you think you have something in Will Levis, something that you continue to build upon, because it's so early. We don't know one way or the other what this player is going to be. I'm just saying for those who are staunchly in defense of Will Levis's future face of the Tennessee Titans franchise, premature. You don't have to get there yet. Keep your powder dry, right?
Yes.
And for those who were out on Will Levis before he got here, well, he clearly belongs at the NFL level. There's no disputing that. But there's been plenty of moments where Carson Wentz looked like he belonged at the NFL level, where other quarterbacks, Jimmy Garoppolo, Andy Dalton, you kind of get into this mix. Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota belonged at the NFL level. We weren't sure exactly what he was going to pan out, and the injuries, of course, derailed him. So it's okay to be judicious about the quarterback position, even if you really like the prospect. And I think there's a lot to like about Will. I think he's very capable. They clearly think he's capable. And I think that's indicated by the level of investment around him. So the thing that you can take the most gratification in, I think, of anything this offseason, if you're a Titans fan, is looking at what the moves that the organization is making and say, all right, they're giving this a true and honest effort for a head coach who wasn't here when they drafted Will Levis, but trying to make this thing succeed as much as humanly possible around Will Levis.
Yeah, you didn't hear any, like this offseason, I mean, the Giants and getting rid of their quarterback, we felt like we heard rumblings, every week? You didn't hear that with the Titans.
Sure. But also, some of that's pre-draft, right? I think they were trying to get people into the idea that they might take a quarterback at 6 so they could take Malik Neighbors. I'm speculating there.
Yeah, but the team, the way, like you said, the way they've built this team is clearly around Will Levis. You get him a deep threat where he can show off his arm. I mean, it's just a lot of these guys are going to help Will Levis show what he's got. It's going to be time to put up or shut up.
Timothy says he's not Manning, McNair, or Rodgers, but he will get better. Talking about Will Levis. Ann Herndon says Jimmy G and Wentz have rings. I want Will to have a ring. Does Garoppolo have a ring? You got a Patriots ring?
Backup for
two of them?
1 or 2 of those Super Bowls.
I think he has 2. He might have 2.
I think he does have 2.
You know who else has 2? Doesn't Blaine Gabbert have now 2 Super Bowl rings, Titans legend?
I believe so. He won that one with the Bucks. And wasn't he on the Chiefs this past season?
Yeah.
So he's got 2. He might have 3.
I think Blaine might have 3.
Wait, no, Chad Henne would have been there in 22. Chad Henne retired after the last Super Bowl.
Titans legend Blaine Gabbert, 2-time Super Bowl champion.
I'm shocked at the revolving door the Titans had at quarterback, like backup quarterback for a while, that Chad Henne was never a Titan.
Ooh, Chad Henne's been in the league for so long. He's officially retired now, right, though? 2 years ago was his last year?
Yeah, 22.
Yeah, he probably got the ring and said enough. But you want Will Levis, I'm sure, if you're a Titans fan, to win a ring as a starter, not in the way that Garoppolo and Wentz have rings, which is one on injured reserve, watching Nick Foles have just the performance of a lifetime. They got him a statue outside of a stadium. Think about that. And Jimmy Garoppolo winning one behind Tom Brady. That was one of the more underrated jokes, by the way, at the Tom Brady roast, the one about having Jimmy G on the roster, or one of Tom Brady's favorite things, which is sending Jimmy G to Siberia. There's a couple of good ones. Do you have an SEC stat of the day? Are you prepared?
I'm prepared. Let's do it.
All right, let's find out coming up next. What, we're just going right to it? No foreplay, just right to the act?
Don't you rip me. You requested this.
Play along.
This was your idea.
Play along. I know it was my idea. I'm doing a thing.
Welcome back. This is the SEC stat of the day. And the number is 26 for the stat today, as Christian Moore, Tennessee's slugging outfielder, had his 26th home run of the season. And that breaks the Tennessee single-season record, which was set back in the 1990s by Sonny Cortez. He also holds the program record for career home runs at 53 right now. Him and Blake Burke have been going back and forth this season. But Christian Moore, also not being talked about in the SEC Player of the Year race. He's not being talked about in the first. He's not even really viewed as a first-round draft pick in the MLB right now.
So Vitello was talking about how unique it is that he was doing it, that Christian Moore's been doing it from the leadoff spot, which is what he did in the bottom of the first inning, his 25th home run of the season. So that's a 26-year-old program record. Is that older than you, that record?
That is older than me. I'm 24.
He had a second home run in the third inning, which was his 26th of the season. And as you heard Jackson say, tying Sonny Cortez was the first milestone. So this season, batting .384, slugging percentage of .806, 26 home runs, 59 RBI. He has been so good over the course of his career and continues to lead the Vols in several of those statistical categories. Vitello said, quote, "I think that's a big thing for pitchers and hitters because there's so much information and people scheme and game plan for you and things like that. You have to be able to counter and adjust, and that's what Christian Moore has been consistently able to do over the course of his career."
So to the program record, you want to know what the program record was coming into this season? 41 by Luke Lipsius, and that was set in 2022. So Christian Moore is obliterating, and we still have a good bit of the postseason and all of this counts because Luke Lipsius broke the program record in the Super Regionals against Notre Dame back in 22. So Christian Moore, it's not out of the realm of possibility for him to end this season as a junior with 60 career Tennessee home runs.
So now, number one Tennessee got South Carolina tonight. What is that, 5:30 Central Time?
6:30.
Are you sure that's not Eastern Time? Well, this is not good radio if you hold a finger up to me and look it up in real time. I'm pretty sure it's 5:30.
I have 6:30. You have 5:30. Let's.
I have 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the SEC Network, and I was adjusting for the fact that we're in Central Time.
Okay, so 5:30 Central Time. Good. Glad we came to an agreement.
It's like yesterday. I started getting tweets about the install. The install was up. It was an old episode that was posted. I called Jackson twice. Didn't pick up the phone. I said, "Hey, might you have uploaded the wrong episode of the podcast this week?" And he said, "No, I uploaded the thing that you sent me." And he said it very, not defiantly. That's not the word that I'm looking for. Confidently. Absolutely. To the point where I then questioned, oh my God, did I send Jackson the wrong file 3 hours ago? Did I screw this up? And then what happened?
I realized that you did. I realized it was my mistake. 18 months of doing the install. I made the one mistake.
Ann Herndon says, Jackson, unable to read, unable to tell time.
Tough day for me.
Well, we'll see if you can't redeem yourself over the course of the show. So, yes, they'll end the regular season with this series against South Carolina and the SEC tournament in Hoover right around the corner. Vols looking to continue to try and improve their position. So, again, Jackson, run through the situation that the audience needs to know about Tennessee trying to compete for the top of their division while still trailing Kentucky, even though they're the number one overall team in the country.
So Kentucky beat Vanderbilt last night. So Tennessee has to win 2 more games than Vanderbilt to win, or not Vanderbilt, Kentucky to win the SEC East outright. So Vanderbilt has to win the next 2 games for Tennessee to have a chance to win the SEC East. To tie for first for the SEC East, they just have to win 1 more game. So if Tennessee sweeps South Carolina and Kentucky goes 2-1 against Vanderbilt, Tennessee and Kentucky would tie for the top of the SEC East.
That's the stat of the day.
That's the stat of the day.
All right, very good. Should be a fun postseason for the Vols. So are we expecting them to? I mean, making it to Omaha is just kind of, I don't want to say a given, but like this team needs to be in Omaha.
This team needs to be in Omaha, and it needs to win in Omaha.
Is this a better team than the last team, better overall team than the last one that Tennessee took to the College Baseball World Series?
This team is better than 20. They went last year. Remember the 22 team, which was the best team in
didn't make it.
Baseball, did not make it. They lost to Notre Dame in the Super Regionals. But I think this team is better than last year's team. I think the pitching was probably better on last year's team, but the lineup on this team is just a mammoth.
I was listening to Charlie Burris and Zach Reagan, two of my colleagues at A to Z Sports. They do a podcast called, creatively named the Big Orange Podcast, but still really good stuff. And they're two diehard Vols fans, and they keep track of everything that's going on the University of Tennessee's campus on a game in, game out basis, regardless of sport. They're talking about Vitello and just kind of keeping an eye on some of the in-game decisions that he makes and how that might impact the team's trajectory. I'm not going to pretend to have more managerial expertise than Tony Vitello, but just kind of to see the trajectory of this particular team, how talented they are, the way that they've had success, and whether that's sustainable in postseason play when the atmosphere, notably changes, when the ballpark changes, of course, and you're in less familiar environments. So at this point, Tennessee, should feel very at ease no matter what park they're playing in. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to join the conversation. Coming up next, we are going to talk about Will Levis. You're going to hear from the Titans quarterback. OTAs begin again in earnest next week. We'll have vets mixed in with rookies. And Levis last week was talking about how much physically better he feels heading into this coming football season. He made some references to his collegiate career and why he thinks this system is going to help him be successful. So you'll hear from Will Levis coming up next. Also, Coach Dave McGuinness of Titans Radio at 11:20 in the second hour. And the opportunity for people to win what, Jackson?
Hootie and the Blowfish tickets.
Friday Fire, 11:45. Don't call us yet. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
It is 10:58. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Jackson Williams. World number one golfer Scotty Scheffler was detained by Louisville Metro Police this morning while trying to drive into the entrance of Valhalla Golf Club, the site of this week's PGA Championship. Scheffler was charged with second-degree assault of a police officer, third-degree criminal mischief, reckless driving, disregarding traffic signals from an officer directing traffic. He has been released on his own renaissance. Round 2 of the PGA Championship will begin at 7:35 a.m. That already began. All round 2 starting times were delayed an hour and 20 minutes from the original published time. In college baseball, the Vols win the first game of their 3-game series against South Carolina 9-3. Game 2 starts tonight at 6:30. You can listen right here on The Zone following 3HL. In the NBA, Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves force a Game 7, crushing Denver 115-70. The 45-point loss was the most by a defending champion in NBA playoff history. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Released on our own renaissance. It's going to be T-shirts coming out later at some point. Josh Pate is trying to get us to merchandise the show. Maybe we'll think about it. We'll get the Renaissance T-shirts released on your own renaissance here in just a little bit. We'll get the movement started. That's Jackson Williams. He's there to report the news, breaking or not, even if it's a golf tournament that already started and he didn't realize it until halfway through his update.
I did look at a press release.
Congratulations to you. We are with you until 1 o'clock. What?
It's a real Ron Burgundy situation back here. Anything that's on that page will be read.
So, in the event, you're going to be much easier to get fired than Lucas was. It was pretty easy to run Lucas off to get him to go to Italy so that I could have some personal space for the next couple of weeks. But you, all I have to do is print it out on a sheet of paper and put it in front of you, yeah?
If you handed me something and told me it was my sports update that you printed out for me, I'd probably read it.
Okay, excellent. 615-737-1045 is the number. We have Coach Dave McGuinness of Titans Radio. He will join us in about 20 minutes from now. Will Levis, the Titans quarterback. You know him well at this point. He is tasked with proving whether or not he's going to be this franchise's future. No pressure this coming season. So you're trying to set up as many good things around him as humanly possible. One of those things that's going to lend itself to Will Levis's success is just general good health. One way to keep him healthy is to improve the offensive line group in front of him. They've worked very hard this offseason to do that. We'll see how many of the moves that they've made take hold and substantially improve the group, including Bill Callahan, and how much he's able to substantially build and improve the group. But Will Levis, speaking at a press conference last week, talking about a couple of things, in particular how he feels. This was the Titans quarterback Thursday?
Yes, last Thursday.
Yeah, no, I feel great having these last 5-6 weeks to be with the guys and learn the offense. Obviously, having that jump start's huge. But physically, I feel like I'm in a better spot than I've been in a really, really long time. That was one of the things I was looking on improving the most this offseason, just getting healthy, getting my stuff back, and being able to play the game like I know I can. So it's been cool to feel my body, get to that point, and I'm going to keep working to even get past there.
So that's great. Feels good. Missed 2 of the final 3 games in 2023, dealing with ankle and foot injuries. Ryan Tannehill, of course, the whole reason that Levis was in the lineup in the first place. Tannehill gets a high ankle sprain behind the Titans' offensive line in London. It's the same game that Andre Dillard gets benched. Malik Willis comes in. He gets himself sacked 4 times in London. Team has a bye. Will Levis comes out guns blazing against the Falcons and wins the hearts and minds of Titans fans around the country.
So, like, like NFL teams do Christmas gifts every year. Like the quarterbacks get the offensive line, like gifts. Like this year, this past year, Tannehill got them all suitcases, which I think was appropriate.
Get the hell out of town. Get out.
Was the offensive line's gift to the quarterbacks high ankle sprains? Ba-dum.
You proud of that one, are you?
I like it. I like it a lot.
Okay. I'm very happy for you.
Did you like it?
Keep workshopping your material on air. I'm sure that'll go smoothly. No, Jackson. The Titans' offensive line did not give all three quarterbacks high ankle sprains for Christmas last year.
They only gave them 2.
They tried. Well, no, technically they gave them 3. It was just one of them twice. We can laugh now because it's over. The nightmare's over. Andre Dillard, week 3 revenge game, by the way. I can't wait to see. Can you imagine if Andre Dillard just comes out there and has a Pro Bowl type performance against the Titans? I don't know what I'll do. I'll just sit there and laugh.
Yeah. Like, you always described how Arden Key and his matchups in training camp went last season.
It's unpleasant.
So, I'm sure Arden Key's hoping Andre Dillard is the left tackle for the Packers week 3.
You think I'm a situational rusher? Hey, let me get to week 3. Come on over here, big boy.
Get ready to give me my AFC Defensive Player of the Week honors.
So anyway, Will Levis feeling good. He's learning the new offense. He's building relationships with new teammates. That's been the focal point of the offseason. It's no small thing. And he's done it pretty successfully for each of the last couple of years, basically since he got to Kentucky. And you'll hear more from Will Levis about why he likes this offense in particular, going back to his time at Kentucky later on in the show. But he's been feeling great. He's continued to work his way back from the injury. Of course, his progress is going to be a major factor, not just for him, but for Brian Callahan in year 1. If they're going to accomplish anything at all, it's got to be because Will Levis has improved, not just an improved situation around Will Levis, as we've talked about. He needs to prove himself to his teammates, to the fan base, to the coaching staff, so they can feel good about moving forward with him as the solution. Jameson says the offensive line gift to the fan base was a whole new coaching staff.
I love how this joke's catching on.
At what point does it become gratuitous? At what point? Because I still can't believe that we had the opportunity, we had the occasion to play that Andre Dillard, Myles Garrett sound again yesterday. I'd forgotten just how bad that sounded in real time.
Oh, it was awful. That's one of the worst answers in a press conference I've seen in a while.
Teron looked at me while we were standing over there because he's very quick for a big fella. Dennis Daly also very quick, very shifty on the way out of the locker room, very tough to pin down.
Not in his pass set, but getting out of the locker room.
Elusive, by God. He's very stealthy for a man that size. But I think it was me, Teron, and Wyatt. I want to say we cornered him, but we kind of like, hey, before you leave for the day, on your way out the door after this Cleveland disaster, just help me understand. Am I missing something here before we go on, sports talk radio or write on ESPN.com or whatever, just how piss poor your performance was this afternoon. And for him to give that kind of an answer and just to say it in stride, because I think the way that I asked him the question was, do you appreciate that kind of feedback? Like, does it piss you off? Are you, I mean, that was just the way that I left it. Do you appreciate it? I was like, yeah, love it. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
No, that I think was the week that Oh No started as a segment. Just something that makes you drop your head into your hands and say, what are we doing? Tough. Somebody would like for me to explain to you what gratuitous means.
I know what gratuitous means.
What kind of color is chartreuse?
It's a yellowish green.
See, growth. We're learning. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to join the conversation. So Levis physically better or physically in a better spot, according to himself, and how he continues to work and improve his craft. He mentioned also in that press conference just kind of the feedback that he's going through with Brian Callahan. And how, for example, I think he cited a particular drill that they were working on to work on his footwork in play-action passing situations, or maybe specific to a certain play-action pass or play-action concept. And he was just giving Brian Callahan some feedback on, hey, maybe do I need to be this? I don't want to butcher what exactly it was that he was walking through. I don't remember the exact specificities of it. But basically just kind of giving the coach some feedback on, hey, this is how you like it done. This is how it feels most comfortable to me. Can we find some kind of middle ground to the point where it's not affecting the outcome that we're ultimately trying to achieve? So they've got that kind of a relationship now, it seems. They're going to continue to build upon that. And something that I brought up with Blaine and Brad yesterday, as we did our weekly segment with them, just the idea of coaches who are straight up with you, how important that is. I don't think anybody was going to accuse, for example, Vrabel of being less than transparent about how he feels with a performance, with a practice rep, with whatever the circumstance might be. Pretty sure Mike's going to give you a straight up answer. Now, can you adjust for different kinds of personalities who may not receive that in the best way? Different people that populate the locker room that you have to find different ways to work with, to work around. I don't want to say treat differently, because ultimately you're trying to make sure that you treat everybody on as even a playing field as humanly possible, but you just have to know that you have different approaches with human beings. Jackson, would you say, because you've been on the board for both of us, that you approach Lucas differently than you approach me in preparing for the show?
Slightly. I don't know. A lot of times it's all three of us.
Sure, and that's a part of that. But you just know that there's going to be different dynamics, different ways that people are going to take things based on their individual personalities.
Yeah, you don't get the bad news.
What do you mean I don't get the bad news?
I don't know.
You don't tell me the bad news?
I'll tell you the bad news.
Do you have bad news?
No, not right now. We're all good. As far as you know.
Here's a coaching point. That's not the best managerial style.
The good news, though. Doing great, bud.
Thanks, Jackson. So, you got to be able to approach people differently. The example of that Brian Callahan and his staff have already had to do is Treylon Burks. You have to be straight up with Treylon Burks that, hey, we don't envision this impacting your role with our team because we weren't going to play you in the slot. This is a player who's almost exclusively a slot receiver. Your role in our offense is not impacted by this. We're going to find different ways to deploy you. And if that looks like 10 to 15 snaps a game, but that's going to maximize your efficiency, then that's what it's going to look like. And if you earn additional opportunities are going to be presented to you. Why? Hopkins is 32. He's on the final year of his deal. Boyd is on a 1-year deal. Calvin Ridley is 29 going on 30. He's on a 4-year deal, but still, you don't know if he's going to see the life of that contract. And you still have 2 more years, including this season, to figure out what you want to do with Treylon Burks. Book's not written on him yet. Coaching staff has to be straight up with a player about that kind of a circumstance, though. NPF, hey, you've been the starting right tackle. We're bringing guys in to compete. Doesn't mean that you can't go out there and earn it again. This is your job if you earn it, but you're going to earn it, just as everybody is going to earn their roster spots around here, because the competition and the level of play have to improve. They have to get better. It's not been good enough. That's why this whole coaching staff is here. So I liked hearing that they were straight up with Treylon Burks about it, because that's the best way to build trust with the coaching staff, especially a new coaching staff that didn't draft you, and you may be looking at with a little bit of side eye, like, all right, what are these guys going to do with me here, and how is that going to impact my future? 615-737-1045 is how you join the discussion. Speaking of joining the discussion, Coach Dave McGuinness will talk about these things with us coming up next. Coach Dave McGuinness is presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. All you got to do is slide on out to 7 miles east of BNA if you want to test drive one of their vehicles on the lot in Mount Juliet. You can visit them online at tworiversford.com. Coach Dave McGuinness is here with us on 104.5 The Zone. Mac, have you seen this Scotty Scheffler story at all this morning in the PGA Championship?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, of course, with the tragedy with someone losing their life, and then it sounds to me like it was a little bit of a misunderstanding, but it got him a jumpsuit and a mugshot.
I mean, so fast they got that turned around, the jumpsuit and the mugshot situation. Of course, the whole reason that situation happened, or that at least the situation with Scotty Scheffler happened, is because, as Max said, a pedestrian was hit by a bus trying to take people to the golf course today outside of Valhalla for the PGA Championship. Scotty Scheffler skirting around some police presence there on his way to try and get in. They're actually showing him now on ESPN. It's just it's crazy when you have one of those events that's so highly policed and for good reason. They're trying to keep the event secure and safe for everybody involved, Mac. But like when a player is running late or in a situation where they're trying to get by and they have somewhere to be, I imagine that gets pretty hairy if you're trying to deal with that on the coaching side of things, just the logistics of getting everybody to the right place at the right time.
Yeah, well, and you can never plan for something as tragic as that happens, but when it does, you've got to be able to adjust. And clearly there was a misunderstanding as to which way he was supposed to go and how he was supposed to go, and I'm sure they'll get that part of it cleared up. But someone losing their life, that's the one thing that should be in everybody's focus.
Absolutely. Coach Dave McGuinness here with us on 104.5 The Zone. You looking forward to Chicago week 1, Mac?
Sure. Yeah, I know my way around up there pretty well. Know a few people, so yeah, looking forward to it. That should be a very, very interesting opener. You've got basically, you got a rookie quarterback, and then you've got our quarterback here that, is basically, starting over with a new, at least some sort of new system and a reset personnel grouping. So we'll see.
With the schedule, we always talk about with you this time of year and the way that coaches and players kind of section the schedule out. To have 5 of the 6 divisional games, Mac, though, in the last 7 weeks of the season for the Tennessee Titans, I mean, they're going to have the opportunity to win it at the very end if they want to, no matter what their regular season record is to that point.
Yeah, well, and still, I mean, it's going to depend on, first of all, as we well know, how the breaks go during the season, how well you adjust to a new coaching staff, and how well everybody, all the new players, assimilate themselves together. Health plays a big part of it, but your point about those games being, like they are, it absolutely does, because we all know the quickest path to be able to at least get into the tournament is to do very well, in your division, and that's there's going to be half of those games in the last month, back to back to back. So it's going to be very interesting. You need to put yourself in a good position though prior to that, but it'll be something to look forward to.
Can you remember the last time the AFC South was this kind of competitive top to bottom? Because it feels like all 4 teams, and I know Jacksonville's kind of in a weird spot. They've underwhelmed a little bit since putting Trevor Lawrence in as the first overall pick, and there's a bunch of reasons for that. But from all 4 teams, it looks like this is going to be, down to the wire. I know we're, talking about this on May the 17th before football games have been played or even exhibition, but still, I'm looking forward to seeing how much these 4 teams cannibalize one another.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always been very, very competitive. And then, of course, you look at this division, you're talking about, some young quarterbacks that are in all places. And so that's always something very, very interesting to watch. But I think all 4 franchises have done a pretty good job over this offseason of trying to strengthen their roster. And, of course, everybody's got different roster issues throughout these 4 teams. But I think you've seen them all, try to bolster it, because I think everybody knows if everyone stays healthy, it could be a pretty tight race.
You talked to so many people throughout the workings of the league, Mac, and Goodell a couple of weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, acknowledged the idea of inevitably pushing to 18 regular season games. We've got a lot of standalone games now that have popped up on the schedule. And I'm wondering from your standpoint if there's not discussion for people you talk to about the idea of needing 2 buys in an expanded regular season, the way that they continue to add inventory to the schedule.
Well, a lot of it depends on when you start and then where the back end has to end. But I fully expect it to go to 18 games sometime. Now, of course, that involves the NFLPA. That involves the collective bargaining agreement. All of those things have to be in place. Which they always can be. But I think to get that in place, as far as to having 2 bye weeks, first of all, you've got to decide where your starting point is and then where your must-end point is. Those types of things, I think, have to be worked out first before you start talking about the mechanics of how many buys you have.
Didn't they try a schedule with 2 buys in the early 90s? Am I correct in thinking that?
Yeah, they did, and it. It was the so-so experiment, but that was with 16 games. Then this is with 18 games. But again, as I said, they tried to squeeze those 2 buys into a different type of a calendar. I think the beginning and the ending of the calendar are what are the first things that they have to look at. Plus what the repercussions of an 18th game will be just throughout the whole league. Roster sizes may increase because of that too. So there's, I think, a lot of things, Buck, that will filter into 18 games.
Coach Dave McGuinness of Titans Radio here with us on 104.5 The Zone. You can hear Mac on the OTP, the official Titans podcast that Mike Keith and Rhett Bryan, Amy Wells are all a part of as well. You can see all the great work that the Titans radio crew is doing in the offseason online at TennesseeTitans.com. Like Mike and Coach Mac up for practice. You've been telling us that you've been watching Bill Callahan and the offensive line group. They had you introducing yourself to J.C. Latham and kind of paying attention to the work that they were getting in over the course of the 2 days at rookie minicamp. How much have you enjoyed that, just that experience, Mac? I know we've talked about how interested you were in learning from Bill Callahan or just watching the way that Bill conducts these practices the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's been my primary focus. I've been at every practice every day for the last 2 weeks, just watching because this is a lot of individual time in this section of the off season that they're in, because they can't go offense against defense. So and especially with the new staff, their emphasis has been on individual techniques in all the individual areas of the football team. And I spent all of my time down there with Bill Callahan and watching how he is teaching, both with the veterans and then, with the rookies when they came in, and then again this week with everybody put together. And it's pretty fascinating to watch. And just the amount that his detail and the way that he leverages and breaks everything down, with the things that are fundamentals. And I do know this. I know that his fundamental teaching, just investing with him, it will continue throughout the season, because that's very, very important, because your fundamentals are the things that really good players rely on when things really get heated up on the field, because you're going to get into a lot of different scenarios, but you have to have a base you can go back to, and the base is your fundamentals. These guys, I'm talking about the players now, the veterans and the rookies, they are being taught some things and in a sequence that they probably haven't seen to this amount of detail before. It's very interesting. It's very interesting to watch him. That's why I spend all of my time until they break and go to team, and then which is about the last 6 to 8 minutes of each session that they've had. But watching the individual stuff is impressive, and then they mic me up and JC up for his second day out there with the rookies, and so I was giving a running commentary on what I was seeing. And J.C. Latham is a pretty impressive individual to watch, but you could also look. He is doing a lot of work with Bill Callahan, but this guy's also doing a lot of work after everybody else is gone too. He's serious about it. He's serious about it, and you can see him incrementally improving just on the techniques. And still, he's a rookie player, but there's a lot of talent in that big body.
The value of the technique, Mac, in particular, the sleds that Callahan has them working on, Bertha and Olga, right? When you watch the kind of technique that those sleds are designed to bring out, basically, how can you articulate the value of that to the audience as somebody who's been on the defensive side of things and working against an offensive line?
Well, first of all, those things were devised and through several years by Bill Callahan, and what they do is they simulate the height and the posture of defensive linemen coming into offensive linemen at the snap, and plus, I mean, they're 380 pounds apiece. And so it requires not only, to be able, they've got an epaulet underneath them where you can grab a hold of like the bottom of a shoulder pad. That would be very true to what would happen during the ball game. But if you don't get it just right and get all the power angles correct from your ankles to your knees to your hips, and then get the upright explosion and keep your back arched and your head back and the extension of your arms, you don't do it just right, the thing will turn on you. It'll turn on you, or you won't be able to move it an inch. And then I watched our veterans and also the rookies progress through this thing, and it's not an immediate get on it. The thing that impressed me, and not only me, but I think the comments that were on that video that they shot while I was making comments on it, is even the people that invented it or other people that have it said on that second day, because I'm telling you what, J.C. Latham that first day, I mean, I don't know whether it was Olga or whether it was Bertha, but it kicked his ass, just like they kicks everybody's ass. And then, I mean, he wasn't going to give in to it. And then the next day he hit that thing and then took a big bite out of it and then started moving it, further than anybody I've ever seen move it. And that was the common thread throughout that video, with people commenting on it that have used it, have seen it. But look, that shows the competitive nature. And also that, he's, J.C. Latham is taking to the coaching and the technique, because the first time when he hit it, I mean, I could see Bill standing over there just kind of grinning, going, okay, I told you this was going to be hard, and all of them, but they're all getting better on it. He's got two machines out there that are pretty interesting to watch, that he's invented, that are his, that are pretty interesting to watch work.
Coach Dave McGuinness of Titans Radio here with us. His visit's presented by the South's most trusted Ford dealer. That's Two Rivers Ford. Tyler Boyd officially under contract now, so everybody's can talk about him more comfortably, even though everybody seemed pretty comfortable talking about him when last we met with Brian Callahan and Will Levis. The slot position and how much he in particular, coming from that system in Cincinnati, is going to be able to define for Will Levis pre-snap, Mac. How valuable of an asset is that signing?
Well, it's extremely valuable because he's been in this system, and he's been a very productive part of the system that, utilizes 11 personnel, which, all of the listeners know, to this is three wides, one tight, one back. But in that slot position, he's very accomplished in it. And so, yeah, it's huge. I mean, you've got three veteran players right now that are manning those three spots, to start with. But Tyler Boyd has got intricate knowledge of the way this offense is supposed to work. So that to me was a big get. And so he will be very valuable. He will be able to help the others as far as the concepts and as far as the way everything should piece together. But you're talking about those three veteran receivers now. I mean, that's a pretty veteran group now, and pretty well defined as far as the success that they have all had individually, wherever they've been. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I know that.
Mac, you were in St. Louis when they drafted Goff, right?
Yes. We were actually in L.A. He was the first round pick when we were in L.A. We had the whole draft for a week at L.A. Live. That's a whole nother story. But yes, I was.
So with him, it's been so interesting to watch his career trajectory. And how, of course, he's found a very successful situation for him and obviously capitalized on that success in Detroit. But it took some time to get there, and it wasn't the smoothest of transitions. And that's often the case for quarterbacks at any stage coming to the league. He's turned it into success, and obviously that success has been now monetized. But for you, when you look at the way that quarterback evaluation has kind of evolved and changed throughout the course of the league, and you've been in so many different versions of the NFL, Mac, I wonder how you kind of process the way that quarterback evaluation has changed when you get married to a guy like that, understanding that there are some workarounds that you're going to have to provide for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, all rookie quarterbacks that come into this league, whether they're first pick in the draft, which Jared was, I mean, even when you come in as a rookie quarterback, there is a lot to learn, and not only a lot to learn just about fundamentally what you're supposed to do, but just the entire landscape of what goes on, because the field dimensions are different. People are coming at you faster. Windows close quicker. Concepts have to be quicker. So it's a learning process. Now, just to what the National Football League is today, everybody's window has shortened, coaches and players, as far as, because, success is kind of expected a lot earlier. You used to have, coaches used to get 5 and 6 years on contracts when they came in, and were expected to get something developed during that time. It's not that long anymore. It's the same way with players. But the quarterback, position is something that, is incumbent, first of all, upon them and how well they're able to transition and grasp, and then be able to be functional and make plays early on. That's very, very important. But what's also as important is who they're surrounded by, and the type of support they have. They can't just do it all by themselves. I mean, Jared Goff was a pure thrower when he came in. He was he's proven to be, that was the right pick for the Rams at the time, because he was the best quarterback in the draft coming out, in that group. But it's taken him some time, and he's on his second team. But I progressively just watched him get better the whole time that he's been in the league. And so you're right. But some guys get a little longer rope than the others just because of circumstances that they're in. But quarterbacks that you bring in that start playing early, there's going to be some valleys early, and you've got to be able to ride it through with them. But you've got to see incremental improvement pretty quickly, because that's just the nature of the beast.
Is it just as simple as pay your key players, Mac? When you know you can trust that guy as a coaching staff and as a front office?
Well, you talk about the salary cap is a real thing, but yes, you've got to be able to, you're not ever going to be able to pay everybody. You can't pay everybody a premier salary at every position. You know that. Our listeners know that. You can't do that. But yes, it's extremely important, and to be able to tier your salaries within the 53 the right way, so that you're not all of a sudden having to completely wash everything out and get in such salary cap hell that you can't put a viable group together. So there's a lot of work that goes into it, and being able not only to address the present, but also be able to have enough vision to address the future too, with the way you tier your salaries.
He's Coach Dave McGuinness of Titans Radio. He's been kind enough to give us some of his time on this Friday. You have a fun story from that LA Live draft party?
No, there's a lot of stories from that draft. We moved downtown LA to LA Live for a week, so figure that out.
Rams headquarters at LA Live. Sounds like a big time. Thank you, Mac. I appreciate the time, bud.
All right, Buck. I won't see you at the OTAs because I'm working with the league office on the league meetings here for 3 days next week. So you'll have to fill me in.
We'll soldier on. Can you give any kind of insights to what you're going to be working on for the audience?
Yeah, I'm on a 3-day panel with former head coaches and former GMs in that involved with that accelerator program. So
awesome.
They asked me to be a part of it. So that's where I will be. So you'll have to catch me up on what's going on in practice.
Well, and just to be clear, Denard Wilson's also part of that program, isn't he?
I have not seen any participants yet.
Okay.
I would imagine he'd be a candidate.
I think I saw Jimmy Wyatt tweet something to that effect. But either way, have a great time, Mac, and we will catch up after OTAs.
All right, Buck. Thanks. See ya.
That's the main man, Coach Dave McGuinness of Titans Radio, with us on 104.5 The Zone. Out here on assignment, official league duties as a former NFL head coach. I'm going to double check that on Wyatt's Twitter timeline, because I thought I saw this morning him tweet out something to the effect of Denard Wilson taking part in the accelerator program, which, of course, famously, Rand Carthon was also a part of en route to becoming the Titans GM. We'll see if we can't find that for you. Coming up next, we've also got Friday Fire, and if people call in with the number 615-737-1045 and give us the feel-good. What in sports made you feel good this weekend? What happened in sports this week that you loved to see? What is your Friday Fire, your moment of positivity that you would like to share with the audience? If they give us the best one, Jackson, what do they win?
A pair of tickets to see Hootie and the Blowfish.
How about that? 615-737-1045. You give us your Friday Fire, we'll give you some Hootie and the Blowfish tickets. This is supposed to be a segment full of positivity, and it started with me screaming at Jackson during the commercial break. How are you going to tell me the best possible thing for me to make my Friday fire during this segment and then tell me I can't have any of the things to make it work?
I'm sorry. They're out of my control.
All right. We'll see if you can't uplift the mood around here because now my Friday fire has been sullied, even though I'm going to run with it anyway. The way this works is you call in 615-737-1045. That's the number. You give us the thing in sports that gave you the feel good, that made you laugh, that put a smile on your face, just a moment of positivity. In turn, if you call in and give us the Friday Fire, you win a pair of tickets to a Hootie and the Blowfish concert coming up when, Jackson?
July 27th at Bridgestone Arena, and this is thanks to our Window Nation ticket window.
July 27th, Bridgestone Arena, the Window Nation ticket window, 615-737-1045. If you want to win tickets to go to the Hootie and the Blowfish concert, all you have to do is give us the Friday Fire. You ready? If you want the Hootie and the Blowfish tickets, you just have to give us the moment of positivity that you felt from sports this week. 615-737-1045 is the number. Do you want to start since you've ruined my Friday fire?
Yeah, I'll start.
What took you so long?
I had to put my headphones on.
Why are you doing a radio show without headphones?
Buddy, we were in the segment for 2 seconds. Let's calm down. I took them off during the break, had to put them back on.
What's your Friday fire?
My Friday fire is the WNBA. Caitlin Clark made her debut this week, a big week, and now all the teams are riding on charter planes.
Not yet, though.
They're going to be by the end of the season. You see videos of players already getting the experience. I just think it's well overdue for a professional sports team to be flying charter and not like Southwest or whatever they were flying before.
I saw a TMZ headline this week of Angel Reese having to fly commercially and Caitlin Clark flying privately, which is, of course, going to invoke some level of discussion. Really a bad look that any professional athlete at that point, even with the struggles that the WNBA has had, would be flying their athletes commercially, especially when those athletes probably don't fit in your standard airplane seats. So whenever the WNBA gets their stuff together, it's not like their season has already started or anything. I was hoping for a better debut out of Caitlin Clark, if I'm being completely honest. 20 points, but it was wildly inefficient. She set a turnover record for a WNBA rookie. What are you laughing about back there?
Nothing. Keep going.
Caitlin Clark's debut could have been Friday Fire, but it really wasn't very good. Were you surprised by that?
No, I mean, I think it's going to take her some time to adjust to the WNBA and college basketball are two very different animals that she's going to have to adjust, adapt. I think it's going to take a month.
All right. My Friday fire is finding out that one of our coworkers down the hall at WTN, Mac Morey, who is leaving for a new job doing sports in Kansas City.
Yes.
That I just discovered on the week that he's leaving us that his nickname at WTN is Cougar Chow. They have imaging to indicate that Mac Morey is Cougar Chow.
Not just for that.
Because all of the middle-aged women over at WTN are commenting and lusting after Mac Morey, who it is hilarious to me because he just seems like a bit of a goober. Cougar Chow.
It is a part of his Friday Mac Attack segment that he does with Matt Murphy on WTN.
Why am I just finding out about all this? Me and Matt Murphy didn't bring this up to me. We were at Steeplechase together smoking cigars. It's shameful missed opportunity to just find out that Mac Morey, we should have been calling him Cougar Chow the entire time. 615-737-1045 is the number. What is your Friday fire for the opportunity to win some Hootie and the Blowfish concert tickets? Greg is in the military. Hey, Greg.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Good.
Great. So my Friday fire would be last Saturday, Paul Skeens made his MLB debut. The dude ran roughshod through AAA. I think he had like 70-something strikeouts or something like that over the 5 starts that he made. He came in, he debuted for a franchise that needs to come up and needs to do a heck of a lot better. I think he threw like eight or 9 pitches above 100 miles an hour. I think he topped out at 101.9. That's legit fire. I think he makes his second start today, and I think that's what baseball needs. I think that's definitely what the Pirates need. And then, as I said, being in the military, he also came out being a rookie, the age of 21 years old. He said every strikeout he gets in Major League Baseball this year, he's donating $100 to the Gary Sinise Foundation, which helps military and helps first responders. So that right there, that's your Friday Fire.
Awesome. That's a great one. Great leadoff, Greg. Yeah, Paul Skeens from LSU. First Major League start was on Saturday. It was the most anticipated for a pitching prospect, anticipated debut for a pitching prospect, probably in the Pirates' history at this point. And as Greg said, really need some legitimate talent there. So his second start is coming up against the Cubs, and I believe it's at Wrigley. In fact, that's going to be, we're going to be off the air by the time that starts, 1:20 p.m. Central Time. Oh, you know what else is my Friday Fire?
What else is your Friday Fire?
I found out that Titans-Bears season opener, September the 8th, on September the 7th. Did I tell you this on air yesterday that Tehran and PK and I are going to go to the Cubs-Yankees game the day before the Titans opener?
I believe this was off air and we were prepping the show.
I've never been to Wrigley before, so I'm excited to go to Wrigley for the first. Well, that's not true. I've been to Wrigley for a Bruce Springsteen concert, which was sick.
How was that? Yeah, I bet that was awesome.
Awesome. So cool. Like, that is how I know that I was destined to work in sports, because I feel like everybody that works in sports at least has to like Bruce Springsteen to some extent.
Were you like on the field? Was it field level?
Yeah, so we were we were in the outfield in front of the stage. There's a funny story about that, actually, because this was, I had like a Bruce Springsteen thing for a moment. I had a moment with the boss, okay, in like high school. So my mom got me and a buddy tickets to this concert at Wrigley Field. She sent me the tickets, and I said, hey, are you sure this isn't for the concert on Friday night? Because these tickets, we're going up on Saturday. These tickets, I'm pretty sure, are for the Friday night concert. She said, no. These are for the Saturday concert, whatever. We get to Chicago on Saturday. She discovers that the tickets were, in fact, for Friday. My mother has to go out and, like, so that I don't lose my mind, go out and scalp tickets for like $600 a pop. I still owe her something very, very nice to make up for the fact that she bailed. I don't want to say bailed herself out, because she got me the tickets in the first place. But it's not a happy camper to find out that the concert that I thought was the night before was actually the night before, and that we'd gone up to Chicago to miss out. She got me the tickets. We got on the field out in the outfield. Bruce Springsteen played for 4 damn hours. It was awesome.
I hope you called your mom on Sunday.
For Mother's Day?
Yes.
I did. I called her twice.
Good.
I even got her some very nice under-eye care cream that she was looking for. Did you do right by your mother on Mother's Day?
Yes.
Since you're trying to on-air shame me?
You're not shaming me. No shame. You're yelling about how you probably owed her something. I just want to make sure, you're working on it.
Brad is a postal worker. He's got Friday Fire for us. What's up, Brad?
Hey, Buck. Hey, guys. Friday Fire is Tiger Woods reaching out to Scotty Scheffler and saying, welcome to the club, man.
No, that's not real. Brad, that's not real. Is that a thing?
It's got to be a thing. How does he not reach out to the guy?
Welcome to the club. Shameful. I want that to be true so badly. Todd is in hotel sales. He's up next. What's up, Todd?
Morning, guys. Hey, mine actually happened this morning. Scotty Scheffler gets that unfortunate incident, gets put in jail. The president of Valhalla goes and bails him out. They show up at the course at 9:12 a.m. for Scotty's 10:08 a.m. tee time, and he proceeds to birdie the very first hole.
That is sick. That's awesome. Thank you for the call, Todd. Man, that's some good nominees for Friday Fire this week.
Have you seen Die Hard?
Yes, I've seen Die Hard.
Okay. You know the scene, Welcome to the Party, Pal?
Yeah.
That's what I imagine Tiger Woods and Scotty Scheffler's conversation this morning. Welcome to the party, pal.
I think it's a little more serious than that, Jackson. Who do you want to give the tickets to? Oh, well, I think Greg's got to win the tickets.
Yeah, Greg's our winner.
Greg's got to win the tickets. Although it was a valiant effort by Brad. I hope that Tiger Woods sent that text.
Is that reckless speculation?
Does it deserve the sounder? Yeah, we don't know if that's true or not. Congratulations, Greg. You're going to see Hootie and the Blowfish on July 27th?
July 27th at Bridgestone Arena.
Okay, very good. Jackson will get with you here in just a second. We'll continue the final hour of the show when we'll talk about the biggest threat to division winners from last season in the NFL and the toughest stretch on the Titans schedule. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
It is 12 o'clock. Good afternoon for the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. World number one golfer Scotty Scheffler was detained by Louisville Metro Police this morning while trying to drive into the entrance of Valhalla Golf Club, the site of this week's PGA Championship. Scheffler was charged with second-degree assault of a police officer, third-degree criminal mischief, reckless driving, disregarding traffic signals from an officer directing traffic. He has been released on his own rambunctiousness. All round two starting times were delayed an hour and 20 minutes today from the original published time. In college baseball, the Vols win the first game of their three-game series against South Carolina, 9-3. Game 2 starts tonight at 5:30. You can listen right here on The Zone following 3HL. In the NBA, Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves force a Game 7, crushing Denver 115-70. The 45-point loss was the most by a defending champion in NBA playoff history. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Hour number 3 here on 104.5 The Zone. We're very happy to have you. You can get a little closer to your weekend with the rest of the lineup. We got Brad Hopkins and Blaine Bishop coming up next. You got 3HL after that, but you're stuck with me for one more hour in the meantime. 615-737-1045 is how you join the discussion. We would be happy to have your participation there or on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. It's a cool thing we're watching on, is this ESPN Plus, Jackson, that we've got on in the studio for the PGA Championship?
ESPN 2.
ESPN 2 has this is a golf alternative broadcast with the crew from No Laying Up, which I love. I love that ESPN is doing more of these alternate broadcasts because I think like a lot of people will watch the traditional broadcast. The majority of people are going to watch the traditional broadcast, right? You're not going to watch the Manning cast if you actually care about the football game. You're going to watch the Manning cast if you care to see what Nick Saban, LeBron James, and Tom Brady have to say about whatever football game's on and whatever stories Peyton and Eli are going to have them tell.
Exactly.
But the idea of like no laying up on a PGA event, I love. Because golf will I like watching golf. Genuinely, I like watching golf. But I catch myself falling asleep during golf tournaments on TV more than any other sport. Actually, I don't know. Baseball puts me to sleep, too. That's a pretty good, like, daytime sedative if you need a nap.
It's a good nap sport. Baseball, golf, tennis.
Tennis, though? I get into tennis matches. At least tennis, there's consistent movement, frenetic motion. Golf and baseball, a little more slow-paced. Although baseball, since the rule changes, that's legitimately... It's keeping my interest just because the speed of the game, the pitch clock, I think has helped a lot anyway. We don't got to relitigate that. We're going to talk about the biggest threat to division winners in 2024 and the toughest stretch on the Titans' schedule. Caller called in yesterday and said, I think the Titans, of any team that finished fourth place last year, have the best ability of any team in 2024 to reverse those fortunes, to go from worst to first. And we went through it, and I kind of stopped on the Bengals and said, I don't know, the Bengals, with as big a cluster as the AFC North should be, it's difficult for me to imagine that the Bengals, as long as Joe Burrow's okay, coming off the calf situation, and he seemed to be down the stretch, and then dealing with the hand injury that knocked him out for the rest of the year, I'd have a hard time seeing a world in which the Bengals finished last again, back-to-back seasons. I'd also have a hard time envisioning a world where this Titans team finished in last place. I'm not saying that they're not capable of achieving, but by percentage chance, the degree of difficulty in the AFC North is for sure harder. Not by much this year, though. AFC South pretty frisky. I just think the Bengals have as good an opportunity to flip that as any team out there. But I think Hello Day says Buck doesn't watch NASCAR races, it seems. No, why? What happened in NASCAR? What's going on? NASCAR got something going on that I need to know about? You look just as confused as I am.
I mean, maybe they're talking about I think NASCAR could be a good nap sport.
Oh, NASCAR is an app sport. Oh. Should that be a poll? Best nap sports? Best sports to take a nap during?
That would be a good poll.
That's a pretty sleepy poll for a Friday afternoon. I don't know if I like that or not. But yes, NASCAR would probably put me to sleep. Either way, worst to first in their various divisions. You could probably see the New England Patriots finishing fourth place in the AFC East again. Jets, Bills, Dolphins, all should be frisky, provided that Aaron Rodgers' Achilles tendon hangs on for longer than 4 snaps this year. I think the biggest threats to the division winners in 2024, I think the Titans are one of the biggest threat to a division winner. C.J. Stroud has a lot better football team around him than he did last year, and that team won the division, won a playoff game. They have upgraded a lot of different parts of that roster. The defensive line is as good as it's ever been. The defense just generally, that lineup looks like it's got a lot more teeth. Adding Stephon Diggs, that's the move that I'm honestly most curious about. I would argue anywhere in football this year, maybe just because the Titans are going to have to play them twice, and so that's going to be a little bit more a part of my life and coverage of this particular team, how they fare against the Texans. But Stephon Diggs, on paper, should make the Texans one of the best offenses in the sport, top 3 immediately. If not the best, I mean, they do have the best wide receiver group, wide receiver trio anywhere in football this year. Who's got a better lineup 1 through 3 than the Houston Texans? Nico Collins, Tank Dell. We'll see when Tank Dell's available, dealing with, being grazed by a bullet. And Stephon Diggs, however you would want to order them 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I think the Texans have the best trio after adding Diggs.
But is he going to be a good soldier there?
If they win, I don't know, because Buffalo was winning too.
Buffalo was winning. And it got a little rocky in the middle of the season. They fired a coordinator. They turned it around. He's just a very emotive player. He's a very fiery player. And a lot of time that manifests in, throw me the ball. Throw me the ball. I'm here to make plays for you. By the way, I like a playmaker with that attitude. Other than his obvious gifts, that was my favorite thing about watching A.J. Brown play here. A.J. knew that if you demand the ball, if you can prove that you're going to be that reliable option every time you're targeted, or almost every time that you're targeted, if you can pay off that attitude that has you checking Taylor Lewan in a critical game at home against the Kansas City Chiefs because he keeps false starting, or I can't remember what penalties Lewan kept getting in that game that caused AJ to get a piece of him. But as a rookie, having that kind of gravitas to you, that kind of respect that you command from your teammates. Levis had that very much last year. That passion, that care, that interest in seeing everybody succeed, but doing so at any cost, whether that's, sacrificing your body in ways that make you kind of cringe a little bit if you're watching a quarterback do that. But having a playmaker that demands the football like that, there's nothing wrong at all if you can pay it off. Is Stephon Diggs still at a point in his career where he's that kind of player? I think that question's very much up in the air, and I don't know if Stephon Diggs knows that yet. Some comments from the chat. D. Good says they were throwing Diggs the ball and he was ineffective, would drop. Derek says he's a wide receiver. They're all divas to some level. Somebody says Diggs is already complaining about Houston in the YouTube comments. I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen that at all yet, but we'll see what happens. Don't get got by your crazy aunt posting Facebook articles and things like that. Make sure we're vetting the news sources properly. Maybe it's out there and I just haven't seen it, but still. I think the Texans are probably, out of all the division winners last year, I think the Texans are probably the most gettable by any of the other 3 teams in their division. Because it seems like Buffalo should still, I don't trust Miami, man.
Miami could be
I think they're paper tigers.
Miami could be a candidate for the best receiver trio.
Oh, that's right. OBJ.
Waddle, Hill, Odell.
Is OBJ 3?
Odell would be 3 there, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably the Dolphins.
And then what about the Eagles?
No, I think I think I'd take the Texans over the Eagles. I like Devonta Smith fine. And obviously, AJ's a really, really high-level player. But who's the 3? It was like Olamide Zacchaeus or something like that. No, tight ends don't count. I mean, they should count. That's what the Chiefs are doing.
They use Goddard a lot. I think.
Jim freaking Nance says of the Dolphins, Miami looked like they were last year for sure as the best wide receiver group. And yeah, I should give Tyreek Hill the proper respect. He's an MVP candidate for a reason. I think some people would also nominate the Rams having Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. But again, top to bottom, Tutu Atwell is not a wide receiver 3 that I trust. Dolphins have as good a case as anybody, but I think the Texans are probably 1B. Anyway, we'll talk about the toughest stretch of the Titans schedule coming up next and some comments that give you confidence, if you're a Titans fan, to hear your quarterback say about his new offense with Brian Callahan. You'll hear from both of those parties coming up next. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to join the conversation. A reminder that you can check any of the 4 1045 The Zone shows out via the podcast feeds for all 4 shows. You can also stream any one of our original 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily shows on 1045 The Zone's YouTube page, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. If you're hanging out on YouTube with us today, make sure you like the video while you're there. Will Levis on the offense. That's next. Wouldn't it be easy in life if everything was just made simple for you? That's what they strive to do at Two Rivers Ford, to put the customer in the driver's seat and to make the car buying process a breeze. They've done so for over 40 years, and their reputation is stellar because of it. They always make shopping for a vehicle easy, and it starts with their non-commissioned salespeople. The sales experts at Two Rivers Ford get paid whether you buy a vehicle or not, so you're never pressured during the car buying experience. When it comes to price, Two Rivers Ford literally sells all their non-specialty vehicles below MSRP, so you can rest assured that you're getting the best deal. And when it comes to the reputation, Two Rivers Ford has been around for over 4 decades. They're as reputable as it gets. In fact, they're one of the top Ford dealers in the nation. So you get the best price from a locally owned and nationally recognized dealer, plus non-commissioned salespeople. There are so many reasons why Two Rivers Ford is the South's most trusted Ford dealer. You can find them in Mount Juliet, just 7 miles east of BNA, or online at tworiversford.com. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, not just on this Friday, but every day. If you're thinking about lunch on this Friday, though, you're thinking about some hot chicken, make sure you find the nearest Hattie B's location to you. They've got one at the 5th and Broad setup. They've got one on Charlotte Avenue. They've got one on in 12 South, as a matter of fact. No, rather 8th Avenue is the Hattie B's location. Either way, you can probably find a Hattie B's near you to get some hot chicken tenders, some whole wings, some great sides, pimento mac and cheese, some iced tea. They even have all kinds of great beverages for you as well to get your Friday started. 615-737-1045 is how you join the discussion. If you want to, we're going to get to what Will Levis had to say about the similarities to a college offense that he had his most success with to the Titans offense that he's getting ready to run now. We'll hear from Will Levis here in just a second, but first let's go to Sandy. Hey, Sandy.
Hi, Buck. Hi, Buck. How are you today, sir?
I'm great. Thanks for calling.
Well, I hope you saw what my profession was, and I kind of ran into a little situation last night, and I needed your number to call because I didn't know what to do. I caught one and didn't know how to act.
Okay, so run me through the situation. It says you're retired on there. What you got for me?
Well, I'm retired, and I told whoever was to answer the phone that my profession is I drink whiskey and chase women.
Excellent.
Somebody's got to keep the single women happy. And I tell the women, I tell you that at my age, it takes me all night to do what I used to do all night. And then they kind of look at me cross-eyed until they figure that out. And if you understand what I mean there. But it's different out there. A whole different world. But as far as the team is concerned, I can't see this team being any better than last year's.
At all.
Six wins is max.
Is that schedule driven, Sandy, or is that something specific to the personnel?
It is schedule driven and talent driven. Everybody, we have increased a great deal as far as prospects is concerned, draft is concerned, but so has everybody else. They haven't just been sitting there doing nothing. So we like what we have, but I think everybody else has done just as good, if not better. And we're going to have to play catch up. This is a 4 or 5 year program, I believe we're dealing with.
Well, you better hope not. Thanks for the call, Sandy. Good luck out there. Head on a swivel, women in Nashville. Chasing women and drinking whiskey. We should have asked his age. I've got a Tennessee men's read here coming up in just a second in case you need any additional help, Sandy. Don't you worry. We got you covered.
Whose head should be on a swivel?
The women.
Yeah, that's what.
That was my takeaway from Sandy's appearance. All right, so to his point about the team, 6 wins max is what Sandy says because of the schedule. The schedule is not an easy one. It is a last place schedule, though, based on how this thing stacks. The quarterbacks, though, on the schedule are not last place by any stretch of the imagination. You have games against Josh Allen. You will face the number 1, 2, and 3 overall picks in this year's draft. You will face 4 of the first-round quarterbacks of the 6 that were drafted in this first round. You will see Aaron Rodgers in your home opener. And while I think there's fair reason to have some apprehensions about what Aaron Rodgers and the Jets might look like, point being, degree of difficulty is not just based on your 2023 finish. It's based on the quarterbacks that you have to play. Burrow, Rodgers, Allen, these kind of guys, Stroud twice a year. Trevor Lawrence is one of the least intimidating quarterbacks on your schedule as a former number 1 overall pick, and God help you if he figures it out.
Herbert, Williams, if Caleb Williams, you get 3 of the top 3 rookie quarterbacks. Tom
Pelissero is reporting that 2 Indianapolis Colts have been suspended for gambling. Do you get that joke yet?
No. Explain.
Famously, it's been a while since we've had to explain this joke. Lucas doesn't listen to me when I do the show. Lucas just looks at me, waits for my mouth to stop moving, and then says whatever he wants to say, which oftentimes is something that I've already said. So, anytime I come to the microphone and say, Tom Pelissero is reporting that 2 Indianapolis Colts defensive backs have been suspended for gambling, it is because I did that with breaking news one time. Lucas immediately came to the microphone after I delivered the breaking news and gave the exact same breaking news. So when you don't listen to me, that's what we say.
I did listen to you.
No, you didn't, because I said the line about the quarterbacks.
You didn't say Herbert. Did you say Herbert?
No.
Then it was a different line.
If the bulk of your analysis was the thing, I'm so mad. Let me hear from Will Levis on why this offense should work well for him. Go.
Guys, it's most similar, I think, to my first year at Kentucky. So that was kind of cool hearing some of those new verbiage come back to me. It's a whole mix, though, and you can get caught into that game of like putting it into last year's terminology and trying to remember it that way, but you kind of just got to wipe the slate clean and put it into the language that we're trying to push to the guys now. But it is nice that some of the things kind of clicked with me right away because I'd already ran it in the past.
That's great to hear. This is Will Levis talking about texting before he was signed officially to the Titans roster. Now officially signed to the Titans roster, wide receiver Tyler Boyd, who of course played in Cincinnati, and who is now coming in to be the slot receiver for Will Levis.
Yeah, no, I mean, they need to help me. I need to help them. And I think, especially with TV, I texted him. I was like, I can't wait to learn the offense from you. It's cool to be able to watch the tape and all these cut-ups and him balling out and making all these plays and, on the teach tape, running these routes exactly like how we're telling everyone else to. So that's going to be some great insight to hear from a guy who's been in the offense and knows what it's like when the bullets are flying.
So that's Will Levis talking about Tyler Boyd. So I'm getting some feedback from Sandy's call, who said the Titans max out at 6 wins, coming off a 6-11 campaign. Ricky on YouTube says, "Come on, Sandy. Brian Callahan is worth 2 more wins than last year. Bill Callahan, Latham, and Cushenberry worth 2 more wins, 10-7. Do you want to pick the Titans 2024 schedule?
We can do that.
Do you want to do that?
Do you think Bill Callahan, J.C. Latham, and Lloyd Cushenberry are all just sitting around one computer watching the YouTube stream?
I don't think so. Why?
That's what it was. You read the commenter's name.
Yeah, it's Ricky.
You said Bill Callahan, Latham, and Cushenberry.
I did say that. Oh, I said Bill, Latham, and Cushenberry.
Yeah, that was a commenter's name, correct?
No, the commenter's name is Ricky.
Oh, you made it sound like that was a commenter's name.
Then I read that poorly.
All right, let's pick the schedule.
Okay.
That was going to be such a great joke if, that was just poor execution.
Wait, he comes to me during the commercial break and said, "What do you think of that bit? What do you think of this bit?" It's just a volume shooter. You are the Russell Westbrook of on-air radio jokes. What's Russ's shooting percentage this year?
Not good.
That's how I feel. If you have to ask me how the bit landed after the bit, you probably know the answer.
And we've had some good ones today.
Pick the schedule. He doesn't have the schedule in front of him.
Decided to do this bit 2 seconds ago. Why would I have the schedule?
That's right. I did. Be adaptable. Be coachable. Watch the tape and improve. So, if we're going to look at the Titans schedule, do you see more than 6 wins on the 2024 schedule? Because it's not an easy thing for a last place team with a bunch of new parts to come in and navigate. I'm going to acknowledge that. I think that they're probably a little better than that. Certainly my expectation is that they should be better than that. So based on expectation and how we see the opponents stacked at this point, do we think that the Titans are capable of more than 6 wins? 6.5 is what their Vegas projected win total is. So even Vegas is saying that they're going to be able to achieve more than they did in 2024 or more than they did in 2023. The question, though, because the Titans have gone under their last 2 projected season win totals, is what Ricky is alleging is true. Is Brian Callahan actually worth 2 wins to this team? 9-8 seems a lot more feasible. 8-9 seems a lot more feasible. 10-7, once you start to get into the 11-win territory, I don't feel like this team, I don't think that should be the expectation, that there would be that drastic of a turnaround for a team that still does have some pretty obvious flaws to it. But I'm willing to look at this and go along with the idea that the Titans are capable of winning 8 games this year, that the expectation should be that the Titans win 8 games. I don't know what those 8 games are going to be exactly. I'm not going to act like I have any kind of way to prognosticate that. I'm always kind of hesitant to pick games that way when the schedule comes out because I just think it's kind of a waste of an exercise. But they're 4.5-point underdogs heading to Chicago in week 1 against a rookie quarterback with a defense that looked okay, but has some pretty suspect performances that they statistically balled out in that I think are fair to question. Are the Titans 4.5-point underdogs as currently constructed heading to face the Bears in week 1?
I mean, they're really 1.5-point underdogs because you get 3 points for being at home.
Still, are the Titans 1.5-point underdogs? Now, some of this will get bet down for sure. It's May the 17th, so there's going to be a lot of time. There's many, many months between now and September the 8th for people to either bet the Titans, because the Titans plus money historically have been a pretty safe bet, though they've been a lot less scary as far as betting goes in the last couple of years, or a lot less fearsome as far as betting goes in the last couple of years. Jets in week 2, like I'm looking at the Chicago game as a game that I feel better about them heading into, even though there's a ton of unknowns. In fact, that's something that we talked about with Greg Cosell yesterday on the latest episode of The Install, the idea of facing Caleb Williams in week 1 and the unknowns that it presents for both teams on either side of the matchup. This was Greg yesterday. The number 1 overall pick this year, the Titans will play number 1, 2, and 3 at quarterback, and Jaden Daniels and Drake May as well throughout the course of their schedule. But I think if you're Denard Wilson, you like the opportunity to open up against a rookie quarterback. And if you're Chicago, you like the team that you have around the rookie quarterback that's going to try and maximize his skill set while he gets up to speed.
Yeah, and because it's a rookie quarterback and because they have a new offensive coordinator, there's a lot of unknowns. Now, clearly Shane Waldron has been in the league. So, as I said, coaches coach against coaches. So they're going to know, the Titans, that is, what Shane Waldron's offense is essentially going to look like because he was with the Rams, then he was the OC with the Seahawks. So they're going to know the concepts that he's going to run and that he's going to deploy and ask Caleb Williams to execute. So that part they'll know. The part you don't know is exactly what Caleb Williams is once he plays in a regular season game. And it's always easy to say, old school coaches always say, well, you just got to blitz them. Again, that's easy to say. And, whether Denard Wilson thinks that way or not, I don't know. I'm sure there will be selected blitzes based on situations down in distance. I mean, that will happen. But certainly they've got, in terms of 2 veteran receivers who are high level in Moore and Allen. I mean, Allen and Boyd are probably similar in their deployment within an offense. Keenan Allen is, some could say he's better, but they're very similar in how they'll be deployed within the context of an offense. Rome Odunze is a rookie, really good prospect. My guess is he'd be the 3rd receiver for sure. We'll see, but you just don't know because you don't know what Caleb Williams is going to be. You don't know how he's going to react. See, the thing is, when you talk to coaches, and you've talked to a lot of coaches on the Titans, obviously, and I've talked to a lot of coaches in my career throughout the league, is they start to know how quarterbacks react, and you're not sure how Caleb Williams will react.
So that's courtesy of The Install with Greg Cosell. It's available to you on 104.5 The Zone's YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube to get those weekly episodes of Greg and I. We're going to go team by team in the division moving forward in the next couple of weeks of the offseason as we continue to work through OTAs. We're also trying to do a couple of different kinds of interviews for you guys that I think you'll really enjoy. So if you like the Rand one, make sure you're subscribed to The Install, not just on the Zone YouTube channel, but in your favorite podcast feed. So among the things that we were talking to Greg about yesterday, not just the unknowns of the schedule, is there any situation in which another 6-win season is acceptable in Tennessee? Because the caller, Sandy, said, this is a 3 or 4. He may have even said 4 or 5, but at least a 3 or 4 year plan. Coaches don't get more than 3 years right now. And I don't think they deserve more than 3 years unless you go out there and earn it. Mike Vrabel got 6. You know why? He earned it. He was winning at a rate that was as good as anybody since Jack Pardee in this franchise's history, and then went to an AFC championship game, was the number 1 overall seed the year following, was the coach of the year afterwards, and then 2 seasons later saw his tenure ended because they failed to meet the standard. After that, they had created a new standard, and they failed to achieve at their own standard, and his time here came to an end. There were a couple of mitigating circumstances to that, of course, but that's all well and good. I came in here and did the segment with Brad and Blaine yesterday, and Brad said something about the Callahan era. Callahan, he feels like Brad Callahan can afford to buy a house here, put down roots here because he's going to be here for a long time. And I said, yeah, it's reasonable to think that way. That's fine, but I haven't seen this dude call a game yet. I have no idea what Brian Callahan's going to be as a head coach. Wasn't there optimism when Whisenhunt was hired because they're going to bring a certain style of play?
Oh, yeah.
To the Tennessee Titans.
And that ended poorly.
And this human being is a much different human being than Ken Whisenhunt was, okay? Ken Whisenhunt was a pill. From everything that I understand and talking to people around the league about it, his opportunity to be a head coach here went about as poorly as humanly possible. They got the quarterback hurt, and he was ultimately shown the door as a result. But I'm trying to be judicious in how much hype there is around something we haven't seen yet. I don't think there's any situation in which 6 wins in back-to-back seasons is an acceptable outcome unless there is a significant injury to the quarterback. If there is a significant injury to the quarterback, then all bets are off because at that point, you're just trying to survive and potentially play for the best draft pick situation possible so you can kind of reset, get back on track the following year. Save disaster, 6 wins is a disaster. And that's not even bottoming out. But if you're gonna hold up this mantra of being an organization that aspires for championships, aspires to championships, having not yet won one, as the Titans in 26 years are coming up on 26 seasons of Titans football, but still, your expectation is to be a winning organization, then 6 wins is the floor for you, even if you're not picking first overall. You don't get to be worse than that and not receive significant criticism and not start to hear rumblings about whether you're the right person to do this job. Will Levis, if they improve around Levis the way that they expect to improve, then 6 wins should be the basement. That is the thing that you can't get lower than. And if you do, then you're having serious questions probably about the quarterback. And not long after that, about the people who are tasked with maximizing the quarterback position. I'm not going to pick the schedule. I don't like that as an exercise. Anytime anybody asks me for record predictions, I always tell them 0-17. I just every time. All ties.
Score predictions for every game.
Score predictions for every game. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be mad at you if you do that because people immediately, Jackson started tweeting us their record predictions. Scoob says 10-7 is his. Go Twins Tiffany at Love the Titans on Twitter says, I agree with a max of 6 wins. That's fine. You're welcome to make your schedule predictions. But I think that I just think it's if we're going to do this seriously, like I want to have a way to do it well. And I just don't think that there's any way to do the record predictions well without just being like, they should beat the Jets in week 2. Book it. Okay.
Take it to Vegas.
No, I don't want to do that. 615-737. Giles says, gutless. That I won't give you a record prediction? Man, I just don't think I don't get the fun out of record predictions that you all do. I think that they should. Here's my prediction for the Titans. You want a prediction for the Titans? I never do predictions, but I'll give you one. All right, bold prediction. Now that we have the Titans schedule, the Tennessee Titans, barring an injury at quarterback, should 100% be a playoff team. This is a playoff team. This should be a playoff team. Based on the slop that's limping into the playoffs at the end of the year, I don't think that's that high of a bar to achieve. The Tennessee Titans in 2024 will be a playoff team, and if not, a lot of people need to be fired.
That's a hot take, buddy.
I don't think it's a hot take at all. Jackson, they're sitting here spending $92 million on a 29-year-old wide receiver, $25 million guaranteed on a center, and trading draft picks for a Super Bowl champion corner. This is a team that thinks it's something. Am I going to downplay my expectations when they're signaling, no, we got it. We got something here. Of course not. This should be a playoff team. And if it's not, see, the thing about predictions is once you set your own expectation for something, if you underachieve and make me look dumb, I'm going to come in here and rip you afterwards.
Is this going to make you angrier during the season?
Oh, it's going to piss me off.
Things aren't going well because I'm going to save this.
You can save this. It's the only time you'll get me to make an actual Titans prediction because I think the business of predictions is largely a wasted exercise. But this damn sure better be a playoff team based on the money that they've spent and what they're projecting to the fan base about what this is supposed to be. See, now I've set your expectations. Last call for phone call coming up next. 615-737-1045 is the number. You know why you need that number? Why do they need that number, Jackson?
Because we're giving away a feature flock pack from Hattie B's. If you're caller 5, you will win a feature flock pack from Hattie B's.
Which means $75. It's basically a $75 gift card to Hattie B's to spend as you wish. 615-737-1045, courtesy of the fine folks at Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Easy for me to say. Caller 5 wins that. Last call for phone calls coming up next. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is here to help you. Maybe you're like Sandy. Maybe you're past your prime. You're out here chasing, what did he say, whiskey and women, but you're not seeing the performance that you have come to expect. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is here to help you if erectile dysfunction is something that you're struggling with, and it's nothing to freak out about at all. Half of dudes, as they age, as your body starts to change, experience ED and the struggle of trying to lose weight, but the inability to do so. The Tennessee Men's Clinic has been treating guys like you for decades, and they can get you in a situation that will allow you to succeed and accomplish your performance or weight loss goals. The Tennessee Men's Clinic has 2 locations to serve you for you to go in for a free consultation, either in downtown Nashville or their newest offices in Cool Springs, and their ED and weight loss treatments truly change lives. Non-surgically, they are seeing success rates as high as 90%. They even offer same or next day appointments. So stop thinking about it and call the Tennessee Men's Clinic, 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090, or go online to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com and book an appointment today. Boogie Shoes means the end of our week. Our week. Your week. Not over yet, but we'll get you a little closer with Brad Hopkins and Blaine Bishop. They're coming up next. You got 3HL. On after that, I'm sure Slay will be appropriately fried on this Friday. Thank you guys, as always, for hanging out here with us. It's always so cool to see the way that y'all support everything that we do. We give you a hard time. We appreciate the hard time that you give us back. Jackson, you survived a full week by yourself with just me.
I miss Lucas.
What do you miss most about Lucas? What? Just the fact that there's somebody to distract my attention from you so that I'm not hyper-focused on your screw-ups?
A meat shield, yes.
Is he ever going to come back from Italy?
I don't know.
Can you imagine coming back from Italy to this slop?
He's going to hate us.
He's going to hate us even more. He's going to hate me even more than he did before he left. Much less, he's not back until like middle of next week. So our time together is not quite done. It's just this bulk of the week together we've gotten through.
I think we've done pretty well.
I'm not overwhelmingly upset about anything.
That was my goal.
just general apathy, just to avoid any kind of attention, positive or negative whatsoever.
That was the baseline.
Well, the way that we started off this morning, I don't know if we started off at a low point, and we continued to build throughout the course of the show. Last call for phone calls. If you got them, 615-737-1045 is the number. You can also interact with the show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. Paul Oldenburg tweets you, Jackson, and says, keep up the great work. The show is better when Buck Rising is angry and pissy, which is true. It's an unfortunate part. We talk about it with my therapist and my blood pressure doctor all the time. I'm best at work when I'm very, very upset.
I just imagine you laying on the therapist couch talking about me and Lucas. It makes me laugh.
Sunset Chaser 614 tweets us and says, I've been listening on and off for about 2.5 hours to you and Jackson. First and foremost, let me say thank you and God help you for your mental sanity. I don't know what's going on there. She says the show has been borderline slapstick comedy at times. Good thing it's Friday, but I've enjoyed every moment. Well, we appreciate you guys. We've got an elimination game potentially in the NBA tonight, the East semifinals between the Pacers, my Indiana Pacers, and the New York Knicks. New York can clinch against Indiana tonight with a win, 7:30 p.m. Central Time tip. If they can get past the Knicks, it will be as improbable a story as anything. They have both teams have scored 121 on each other in the last two games. It's been lopsided. Games 4 and 5 of this series. Pacers are 32-20 against Eastern Conference opponents. They need to try and pull one out tonight. Just play some damn defense.
Go New York.
You want to see the Knicks win? Why?
I feel like it'd make you mad. Better for content.
No, I don't care about the Pacers that much. Not anymore. The peak of my Pacers fandom was Lance Stevenson blowing in LeBron James's ear.
That was a great moment.
Like I said, it can't get any better than that.
You know why?
Why?
Because the Pacers lost that series.
Play the damn polls.
Who's Lucas Panzica?
Never heard of him.
These are the polls, and they're brought to you by Two Rivers Ford. Describe Scotty Scheffler's mugshot in one word.
Lawsuit. Lawsuit is what's coming for whoever put him in that orange jumpsuit. The day of the PGA Championship, he's out here just hitting birdie after birdie. He made his tee time. Is it the director of Valhalla bailed him out en route to make his 10 a.m. tee time, 10:10 tee time today, and he's just killing that golf course.
Somebody said it looks like the first scene of the Happy Gilmore 2 movie that was just announced for Netflix.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, they're doing it.
Is Bob Barker still with us? Is he still alive?
I don't have that
Surely
answer.
not.
I don't think so.
I don't have that
Surely
answer.
not. I don't think so.
I don't think I just killed Bob Barker on the air. I feel like Bob Barker's been gone for a couple of years. Watch. He's out here still from the crypt telling people to spay and neuter their pets.
Okay.
How many family dogs hate Bob Barker? Put it on the poll.
What's the toughest stretch of the Titans' 2024 schedule? Karen says the last 3 games with all division opponents. Let's hope we're not decimated with injuries by then.
Oh, no, Bob Barker. The chat is telling me, oh, no, Bob Barker is no longer with us. Okay, I thought the chat was telling us that Bob Barker was still alive, and then I was going to feel bad.
He's dead.
Thanks, Jackson. Are those the polls?
No, you didn't respond to the second poll, which is what's the toughest stretch of the Titans' 2024 season?
Oh, the toughest stretch of the Titans' 2024 schedule is the 5 divisional games in the last 7 weeks, and even still, they have 4 divisional games in the last 5 weeks.
What's the biggest reason for optimism about Will Levis and Brian Callahan's offense? Darren Schaefer saying his arm, CT, he's got both the physical and mental abilities. You guys can also have a positive impact, build him up.
Who can build him up?
I guess us.
Oh, well, that's not my job. Play well. I can build you up. That's not my. I'm not the cheerleader. I'm not what's the word that I'm looking for? You're a Titans fan. You can cheer him on if you want to.
I'm good.
I just want to see him do something. I'm not here to cheer him on or build him up. Go out there and perform, and then we'll talk about how well you did afterwards.
What's the best thing you saw in sports this week? Friday Fire. A lot of people saying the Scotty Scheffler getting arrested because it made them laugh.
Well, it's harder. It's
tough to laugh.
Scheffler, you can't laugh at the Scheffler thing because the whole reason that Scotty Scheffler is caught up in this situation is because somebody got hit by a bus and died today. I don't know. I'm having a hard time with the Scotty Scheffler jokes.
Uncle Mad just posted a picture of Harrison Butker in The Sims in the kitchen.
That's pretty good.
That made me laugh.
That's pretty good. Those are the polls. You're just going to stare at me.
Those are the polls. That's your line, bud.
You're just so intent on cutting me off from time to time, and I'm just waiting for you to do it every time, not just that blank stare. Okay, thank you. Oh, my God. All right, that's the show. We appreciate you guys hanging out here with us. You will continue to be entertained. Coming up next, you've got Brad Hopkins, you've got Blaine Bishop, 3HL on after that. I will next talk to you Sunday night on A to Z Sports Prime Time. See you then.